Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting into something pretty complex, often painful.
Yeah.
Relationships with people who show those patterns of needing admiration, maybe lacking empathy, traits often labeled as narcissistic.
Right.
Our aim isn't diagnosis, of course, but more to, pull out some key insights from common experiences, just offer some clarity if this sounds familiar to you.
Exactly. It's a really sensitive area, and understanding the dynamics can be helpful. It's about spotting those recurring themes.
Okay, so let's dive in. One thing you hear a lot is how these individuals might seem to juggle multiple people at once.
Hmm.
Like getting different things from different connections, attention here, maybe intense loyalty there, admiration in their career. Someone else is the soulmate. What's behind that?
Well, it often comes down to this deep-seated need for constant external validation. Think of it like needing a steady drip feed of approval.
Okay.
Some call it narcissistic supply. It's about propping up a, frankly, quite fragile self-image, so different people might provide different kinds of reassurance or fuel.
That makes sense. And building on that, this idea of validation, it's interesting how even with all these connections, there often seems to be one central figure they're intensely focused on,
Yeah.
sometimes linked back to, say, their relationship with their mother. Can you unpack that a bit?
Sure. If you look at early relationship dynamics, sometimes, maybe because of an emotionally distant father, someone develops this really intense, almost consuming bond with their mother.
Right.
They might even step into a role of meeting her emotional needs. That early pattern can then replay in adult relationships. They're sort of unconsciously searching for that same kind of intense primary connection, even if it wasn't healthy back then.
Ah, okay. And that might explain why sometimes long-distance relationships seem appealing to them.
Yeah, possibly.
Like the distance helps maintain a kind of perfect, idealized picture
Mm.
without the day-to-day reality checks.
Similarly,
Yep.
distance can act almost like a buffer. It lets them project this ideal version of themselves and the relationship without the constant scrutiny of close everyday interaction.
Yeah, less chance for the cracks to show.
Exactly. Fewer opportunities for inconsistencies in their behavior to become really obvious.
But of course, that ideal image often does hit reality, doesn't it?
It does.
You hear about, well, lying, twisting the truth, making big promises that just don't materialize, and then when you point out the discrepancy, somehow it gets turned back on you.
Yes, and that really speaks to the manipulation aspect. These tactics changing the story, shifting blame, they're often about staying in control, avoiding responsibility.
Right.
It protects their self-perception.
Yeah.
Selling those initial dreams creates the idealization, but when things fall apart, it's never presented as their fault.
So, given all that,
Mm.
the manipulation, the instability, why do people stay? It can be baffling from the outside looking in.
It can. But what's often at play is a kind of difficult familiarity. For some people drawn into these dynamics, it echoes earlier life experiences, often from childhood.
How so?
Maybe they grew up feeling, I don't know, unseen, or like they constantly had to work extra hard to earn a parent's attention or love.
Oh,
That feeling of always chasing approval, of having unmet needs, can become a really deeply ingrained pattern.
that makes a lot of sense. So it leads to this idea that when someone like this comes along, despite the red flags maybe, there's this unconscious pull
Yeah.
to try and finally get the love or validation they missed out on before.
Yeah.
Like replaying an old script, but hoping for a different ending this time.
Exactly that. It's like falling into that trying harder trap. You
Right.
double down, trying to win their affection, driven by this unconscious hope of healing old wounds. But the crucial thing to realize eventually is that the effort isn't really about connecting with that specific person anymore. It's about trying to satisfy something inside yourself.
That's a powerful insight.
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone recognizes this pattern in their own life, what are the first steps to breaking free? It sounds incredibly difficult.
It is challenging, no doubt. But the
Yeah.
initial steps usually involve turning the focus inward, really
Okay.
inward. It starts with self-awareness, to do seeing yourself in the dynamic, recognizing the patterns. Then comes the hard part, allowing yourself to feel and process the emotional pain.
The anger, the grief.
Yes, the anger, sadness, loneliness, all of it, it's valid. And crucially, it means consciously deciding to stop seeking validation from that other person.
Pulling back that energy.
Exactly, and starting your own healing process. Practically, sometimes that first step is just setting very clear boundaries, maybe limiting contact, to create space for yourself.
Right. So to kind of wrap this up, the core idea is that these really tangled relationship dynamics often reflect and are maybe an unconscious attempt to fix those much earlier experiences of unmet emotional needs.
That really captures the heart of it, yeah. Understanding that connection can be the beginning of change.
Mm-hmm. And that leads us to a final thought for you, our listener. As you've heard us talk, if any of this resonated, if it felt familiar, maybe just take a moment for some self-reflection.
And self-compassion is key here.
Absolutely. Remember that genuine fulfillment, that deep sense of validation, ultimately has to come from within you, not from trying to get it from someone else. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.